I am temporarily turning my mic on. Let me check the levels here. Hello, people. Alright. Hey, Sid and Kitty. And everybody on whatever platform. So the whole oh no thing is because I actually have voice files. I have certain voice lines removed from the game just because it causes lag. We allow that in the speedrun. If you don't agree with it, well, rip. But yes, I do find that hilarious how fucking, like, Game Grumps died on Chaos Zero. That's fucked up. Appreciate the luck. Hey, Mr. Ryan. And yeah, the whole thing about, when the game loses sound, I'm clicking off of the game. The game will still run, but the thing is that, while the game still runs, there's no music or any sound, and I wasn't paying attention. So yeah. That's why that happens. Forget slow boss, this is gonna be a slow stage. I mean, you're right, though. Let me see here. There's some chat that I kind of missed because I clicked out of the damn window. Okay. Cannon ready! Fire! So at some point in time, I'm actually going to be redoing the Sonic Beginners Guide, just because, like, there's a lot of things that I don't like about it. There's a lot of dumb things I said that I really wish I didn't say. Like, say for instance, one thing I didn't realize was how I told people to do Casinopolis, going around the invisible wall because, ooh, it's easier. That's completely fucking false. For example, oh boy, I'm not gonna make this. Oh, I made it. Okay. And that could have killed me. I'm actually surprised that that is the most viewed video on my channel. On my YouTube channel. It's like, well, shit. I did pour a lot of work into that. I think that was like an entire, like, week of editing and shit. But I'm not gonna lie, like, since I never really did a whole bunch of, like, actual YouTube style videos, like where you had to go in and edit your video, kind of gave me a bit of a new perspective on YouTubers and how they kind of, like, function. Since, you know, I'm kind of like I'm a plebeian streamer. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, well, streaming, oh man, it's so hard to do. No, streaming is easy. Making it big as a streamer is about as difficult as making it big as a YouTuber. In the sense of, like, you need to get lucky to really start making it big, and you also need to put a lot of effort into it. But the thing is that most YouTubers who aren't, like, necessarily, like, straight streamers, they have to put a lot of work into their stuff. It's kind of insane. Even the low effort stuff probably takes like at least 10 hours of work. Oh. The one and only glitch master. Okay. Okay, Zoomer. Doing a hover there for whatever reason. That's a flaw with the game. I think that Generations has a lot of flaws because I think they tried too hard in certain aspects, and I mean, like, Boost to Win has been getting stale. It got stale after Unleashed, and I know it's a very unpopular opinion. Well, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing that a lot of people like. A lot of people who don't watch a lot of speedruns and don't know much about speedrunning and stuff. Speedrunners aren't like gods at their video games. They are practiced at their video games. Like, so here, the thing is that like you see me and you see like, oh well, I'm not fully taking the game seriously. I'm commentating. I'm not fully concentrating. And yes, I may be playing better than most of you, but the difference is that I put a lot of time and effort into learning how to run the game, and, you know, I practiced, I don't know, 10,000 hours or something like that to get to where I am. It's not so much that, like, I'm some like, guy who has, like, some insanely, like, some insane, like, prodigal talent. I'm just a person who played the game a lot in a very specific way, and I got good at playing it in that specific way. That's just how speedrunning... Sid. Yeah. I don't really see myself as that much different than, like, say, just a normal, everyday person. Except for the fact that, well, I practiced. And I always bring that up because even though people know, there's a lot of people that don't know that. A lot of people that don't really, you know, pay attention to that. And I mean, with the kind of person that I am, it's kind of like, well, I don't like putting myself above. In your own time. You could never compete with the big boys. You should never count yourself that way. Unless you didn't want to put the time and effort into it. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now, and here's something that a lot of people don't really know about E in general. Since, I mean, how many years have I been speedrunning? It's almost been 10 years now. Back when I first started this game, I was just like, well, I mean, I'm pretty good, but there's no way I could compete with Jawson. Jawson's a fucking god at this game. He's amazing. Look at his times. He has first places everywhere. And then, I mean, look at me now. I mean, maybe I don't have nearly as much domination in the game as I did back in 2013, 2014, but the fact of the matter is that I just did it, not thinking I could ever really achieve it. I beat the guy that I thought was a god. And because it's like, yeah, like what Sid said, he thought there was absolutely no way he could compete with Shadowjacky in Heroes, and now look at it. At the end of the day, speedrunners are nothing but people. anybody can have greatness. That's the thing. It's just, will you put in the time and the effort to learn what you need to learn, to do what you need to do, to take the time to do it, have the patience to learn the knowledge, and then the practice. It's just like, that's really all speedrunning is. Because, I mean, what about people who say, you know, play instruments, they're in a band, they like, you know, James Hetfield and all those people, all those like professional singers, the professional guitarists, the professional like anything. It's the same thing, pretty much. It's just just you dedicating yourself to it until you get good at it. Everybody starts sucking ass. The person who starts being a prodigy was, well, never really worked their way to the top. And those people are boring. Oh shit. Oh shit, it's your boy. Hey Carson. But I mean, yeah, that's just how I see it. And the speedrunners are just normal people, just like everybody else. I've always kind of seen it that way. I've never really seen myself as anybody like. I really have never thought that. I've never really thought that anything that I've really achieved in speedrunning is unachievable by anybody else. Well, I mean, maybe back in the day, because I was incredibly arrogant and I had a huge ego when I was younger. Maybe I did think that way. I don't think that way anymore, though. It's like anybody really could do anything, get world record if they really wanted to try. Skyrail. Honestly, I don't even know what I would consider one of my greatest achievements. Oh yeah, I was a fucking asshole back in the day. It was awful. It's and I mean like, oh, come on, come on, you can do it. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Is this really sub 31 pace? Yeah, we really mellowed out over the years. And I mean, nowadays is, you know, just chilling. Oh, almost forgot what I was doing. Yeah, that save isn't necessarily too hard. It's just awkward, is the thing. You have to be able to know approximately where you need to move, but it's really hard to see. I always get surprised every time I get it. But I mean, it's not so much difficulty as it is just weird. You get the light, and you get the crystal ring. Oh shit, that would have actually caused him damage. This is actually... Oh wait, I wasn't paying attention to the time. $500. Oh shit. Gee. This damn flame tunnel. Which, always a good reminder to always be an auto camera for that. Because you can't adjust if you're not an auto camera. I really don't like the pause phasing there because it's like, it's a bit hard for me to pause since I'm on my OG Xbox controller. Oh yeah, the tunnel's dumb. You really have to kind of like pay attention. But in auto camera, it's just mostly holding forward, and if you see one of those things pop up, you move. Usually you jump. I'm actually gonna take damage, yeah. I take damage again. Nope. Jump. Go. Jump. Nope. Not making that. So if anybody hasn't seen an OG Xbox controller, or well, specifically I'm using the S version, specifically I'm using the S version, the pause, the start is actually on the left side of the controller, so I have to kind of like move my thumb over to the, left side of the controller, and, like, pausing is kind of awkward. That's one of the big differences between, like, if you watch how I'm playing nowadays versus how I used to play. My pausing's a little bit more hesitant. And that's why, but I play better with this controller. Oh no, that's the Duke. You're thinking of the Duke. I have the S version, which, I'm dead. The S version is, closer to a 360 controller. If I remember correctly, it's actually the model that they made specifically for when they were marketing the Xbox to Japan. I hate this. I hate this damn clip. The Duke was actually... Since, like, they were modeling a lot of stuff from the Xbox off of the, Since they were modeling a lot of stuff off of the Dreamcast, they made the controller huge. And yes, I know everybody knows nowadays that the Duke, or the original Xbox, was basically supposed to sort of be backwards compatible with the Dreamcast at one point. And I mean, you can see the similarities in the controller and all that other stuff. It wasn't necessarily a sequel. It was more like a partnership. Where it was supposed to kind of be a sequel. Yeah, but the thing is that the deal fell off, and... well, why the hell am I over here? Please do not miss. Thank you. We have one more before it actually starts getting tough. Or, I mean, easy. Okay. Tell your cat to stop jumping on the counter. Okay, boomer. That is not a place for cat babies. Tell the cat to stop being such a zoomer. I mean, it's true. Tell the cat to stop being such a zoomer. I'm fucking retarded. It should have, but I mean, you know, Sega kind of died, and well, it died in terms of like being a first party, and it went on to be, I think, a second party. Technically, I mean, they're not really third party developers because they have their own third party developers. Sonic Team is a third party developer, for example. 3128. That's not too bad, all things considered. Ugh. I mean, you did get certain games that were re-released on the Xbox, like Jet Set Radio. Or wait, no. Jet Set, they had certain sequels on the original Xbox, like Jet Set Radio. Jet Set Radio Future. But yeah, they had much shorter lifespans, and the reason why they had such much shorter lifespans is because of, well, Sega was, while they were so into trying to innovate, they tried too hard and too fast to innovate to the point where it basically fucked them over, because you had the 32X, which didn't really sell. You had the Sega CD. And the 32X, which flopped completely. The Sega CD, which was a nice idea, but not a lot of people had it. Then you go over to the Saturn, where they tried getting a Sonic game out, and honestly, if they got Sonic Adventure out on the Saturn, I mean, first of all, it would have been bad because of the limitations. If they would have gotten some Sonic game out, the Saturn might have had more success, at least in the United States. But it was not very good in general. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Music licensing is kind of an issue. Well, the Saturn flopped because of its predecessors, really. From what I remember, it's a good console. But its predecessors weren't very, the CD and the 32X. Sega was losing money. They were starting to get desperate. And by the time the Dreamcast came out, they had to go all out. And just because the previous consoles didn't sell, and they were kind of like in between generations, there wasn't that much interest. Even though they made the Dreamcast be a really good console and very innovative for its time, it was doomed. Dreamcast was doomed to fail. And it's Sega's fault. That's not, it's not really like, I wouldn't say that Sega's a bad company, but they were really just, they didn't know how to play the game, basically. Oh yeah, here's the debug information. Yeah, gaming market wasn't that good. Nintendo knew how to play the game. Nintendo has been a fucking company since like the 1800s. Nintendo's been around a while. They knew how to play the game. They knew they had enough money to really kind of like innovate. Nintendo's always been like this. People always say like, oh, Nintendo's gonna flop. Nintendo's probably not gonna flop. They've been in the business they've been in, like, the entertainment business for over a century now. They know how to play the game. They're gonna stay. They're not gonna go bankrupt. And that's just the reality of the situation. And though, I mean, even though we see, 3D All Stars and then Mario 35, which I have a lot of negative opinions on 3D All Stars. But I am extremely unhappy with Mario 35, because I mean, like, you shouldn't be adding false rarity. Oh yeah. You shouldn't be adding false scarcity to up the value. You shouldn't be doing that to up the value of the product, or up the demand of the product, rather. That is really, really anti-consumer. Very good for your company, very bad for the consumer. And Nintendo knows they can do it, because Nintendo has such a loyal fan base that the fan base doesn't think about that. Sonic Forces fucking sucks. That game should never have existed. Because it's... So... I had... My opinion on that specifically... is that... Why does the current, like, project lead of Sonic decide to hire incompetent sons of bitches to create levels? Like, if you look at Lost World, and a lot of people hate the mechanics, but here's the thing about the mechanics. Any kind of mechanics can be fun if you have the right level design. If you have the right level design, the game is going to be fun. Like, people are saying, oh, well, it's because Sonic's too slow. No, it's not. It's because the way that the levels were designed, specifically, don't really match the layout. They put in the wisps for, like, no reason. And a lot of the level design is just not that good. The game itself, like, I mean, you take the mechanics of the game, you make, if you take the mechanics of the game, if you take the mechanics of Lost World and you get a modder who knows how to make good level design, you make good mods for, Lost World, there you go. You basically have a pretty good game. Once it has that, specifically, once it has those people that create the mods, the game's probably gonna thrive pretty well. Sonic Forces? No. It was doomed because you can't really innovate with Boost to Win anymore. They forced it. And they're forcing it. They stopped trying to innovate. And that is a problem, because when they do try to innovate, they have to go back to Green Hill or Boost to Win, and since it's so stale, and they have a level designers that don't do what they should be doing. They should be innovating, making really nice, unique levels, and maybe they're being overworked, but the fact of the matter is that you look at their level design, no. I mean, honestly, I don't even like Generations. I thought Generations was boring. Colors, I liked Colors, but I really sucked at Colors. I just think that they need to get a new level design lead. Okay, let me teach. Maybe someday. They need to get a new team, yeah. There's only so much you can do if the project lead, like, it's pretty obvious to look at Lost World and say that it's pretty obvious if you look at Lost World, then if you look at Lost World, the biggest issue was the level design. Forces, biggest issue, level design. You look at the first couple of missions in Lost World, in Forces in particular, right? Like, they looked barren. Like, the one thing in the preview, like, oh yeah, there were rings. Nice. Oh yeah, there's these random enemies. Nice. Where's everything else? Where's the springs? Where's the color? That's literally all I was thinking of. And like, you know, the OC, I don't even remember what the hell he's called, but the OC character thingy. I really only saw that as just like places packed full of enemies to give you something to do, rather than something that's entertaining. And I mean, I'm not gonna be here and say, oh yeah, Sonic Adventure was like a great game, it had great level design. It had good level design for its time, and it does cater to me because I do like the semi-open worldness. I like being able to explore. I do enjoy that aspect, and that's one of the reasons why I absolutely hate SA2. I mean, I liked it back in the day, but it kind of just, when I was playing it and stuff like that, I was wondering, well, why do I get frustrated and upset when I play this game? Why don't I feel like I'm enjoying it? The answer to that question was kind of simple. I don't like it. That is also a very unpopular opinion, and I mean, that's fine. I mean, I'm not gonna be here and judge anybody. Levels and Forces, yeah, they were very unoriginal. But see, I kind of chalk that up to the boost to win formula, because like, I mean, what can you do with it? You could do some things with it, but really, what can you do with it nowadays? We've seen a lot of things, but is there anything new? And my answer to that question is probably not. Probably nothing new that you could really do with it. And that's a problem. What can you do to keep your audience interested? Green Hill Zone. What else can you add to keep people interested? Chemical Plant. It's the reliance on the nostalgia and that stuff that is kind of a problem. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you can string it in specific ways where it's not going to be that bad. You look at Zelda, for example. I mean, like, Zelda is a pretty good example of being able to take very similar things and, like, you know, just kind of like put it in such a way where it's enjoyable and you get more content out of it. But I mean, I'm not sitting here and judging about whose favorite thing is what. I mean, my favorite Sonic game is Sonic Heroes. Ooh boy. My second favorite's 3D Blast. Ooh boy. I don't really care that much, to be honest. It's like, you can have your favorite game, and then just, as long as you don't shove it down people's throats. I see that a lot with people. People kind of like take their opinions and then just say everybody's dumb just because they don't share the same opinion. I think that's kind of dumb in itself. Huh. I mean, you can have Orbot and Cubot. Prefer the Wisps not being around because the Wisps don't do anything anymore. They're just kind of like cheap add-ons. Orbot and Cubot, I mean, sure, you can get some pretty good humor out of them. Because they're there to be written. I mean, it's like, oh man, Eggman's appearing in the new Sonic game. Oh boy, what innovation. Oh boy. The Sonic people, oh man, really know how to innovate. That'd be hilarious if somebody actually used that as an argument as to why Sega can't fucking innovate. That would be hilarious. Noticing that the chat delay for YouTube is actually like huge. Wonder if there's something I could do to fix that. Because in Twitch it should be close to instant. Oh boy, this score is poopy. I thought I put YouTube to low latency. I'm wondering if it's the bot as well. It could be the bot. I don't know. Or it could just be the fact that I have a really high bitrate. Oh yeah. I have a lot of reasons why I dislike SA2. Which I can communicate. A lot of it is that, I mean, SA2 feels very streamlined. There's like, it feels like there's always just a linear path to go down, but they kind of like make the levels a little bigger so it feels like you have a lot more stuff. I don't really like the way the Knuckles stages are designed in terms of like how the Emerald locations are. You know, in SA1, they specifically... In SA1, they allowed you to be able to get any of them on the radar. In SA2, last I remember, the big reason why they changed that was for like, extending the gameplay. I don't like that. I don't think that that's good game design. I thought that certain stages were kind of like a little bit too handholdy, especially with the automatic sections, making you go through loops and stuff. The game forces you to go through that to make it, you know, wow you and make you go like, oh shit, nice. Sonic can actually run through loops. I'm running through loops. That's awesome. But then it gets kind of like, well, why don't you let me take control? Instead of the game just taking control of me for like 10 seconds while I can't move and only hold forward. That is something I really don't like in a game. I like being able to explore and go my own way. And, you know, find my own path. If there's another path, I'd love to explore it. I'd love to go around and see what they did. How much work did they put into it? Like, what kind of stuff do they have? What kind of goodies do you have for me? SA2 didn't have a lot of that. They did have some. But it didn't have a lot of that. I personally don't like that. And that's okay if you like it. I mean, the game is designed more for kids. And SA1 was designed a lot more around an RPG setting, which is why it is the way it is. SA2 was not. SA2 was designed in a similar fashion to the way SADX turned out to be. So SA2 is a lot more streamlined. And I just don't like that. Heroes kind of like meshed the two together. So, of course, the stages are huge. They're way larger than they deserve to be. So you need, in order to actually, like, go fast in the stages and make them not feel like they're tedious, is to actually learn all the mechanics and learn everything. And that's a gripe that I can handle, but I know a lot of people can't handle. Like, one of the things that I really liked about the originals, which I'm not as big of a fan of 2D games as I am 3D. I don't know why. Which I did enjoy. I did enjoy the trilogy, don't get me wrong. But I prefer the 3D games more. It doesn't hold your hand for too long, that is true. But I just don't like I just don't really like a lot of the stuff and the way the levels are designed. It's not for me. And that's, like I said, I don't feel like that is the opinion that defines the game. That is how it is to me. That's the conclusion I've gotten to. Very specifically, that is the conclusion I've come to, is that I don't like the game. And I thought for the longest time that I did like the game. But, you know, I can kind of, like, also string this into a thing where, let's say, I used to think for the longest time Crash 2 was my favorite game of all time until I started speedrunning it. And I kind of realized that there were a lot of things I didn't really entirely like about the game. I mean, it's still a great one. Do I Sonic 06? Excuse me? Wanna run that by me again? I'm guessing you're asking me, do I like Sonic 06? Well, here's the thing. Okay, do I like Sonic 06? Yeah. I do. I will never say it's a good game, though. Sonic 06 is a terrible game. It is a terribly designed game, and it's not necessarily their fault that it was designed that way. But the fact of the matter is that 06 is a terrible game. It's a fun and enjoyable game. Sure. Yeah, I will say, I enjoy the game. I like the game. But it is a terrible game. I will never say it's a good game. There's no point, because that would be a lie. The game had potential. A lot of potential. And, I mean, if anybody looks at the Project 06 that they've been making, and you look at Project 06, you'd be like, well, this is what the game would be like if it functioned. Fuck yeah. Dude, this game is sick. But at the end of the day, the game's bad. That doesn't mean that I'm not gonna play it. I'll play it. I'm fine with doing another playthrough. It's like Spyro or Hero's Tale. I know the game's not that good. I know for a fact the game's not that good, but I enjoy the fuck out of it. It's even my favorite Spyro game. I like it more than Spyro 3. I like it more than Spyro 1, which was the one that I grew up with. I actually grew up with Enter the Dragonfly and Spyro 1, by the way. I didn't even know that Spyro 2 and Spyro 3 existed until I was like 8 years old. I came to the conclusion that Heroes Tale's my favorite game in the Spyro series. Game is not that good. It could have been good. It really could have been good. I messed up. It really could have been good. It just wasn't. And you know, there's a lot of things that I kind of think about. Especially since, you know, I watch anime a lot, and I realize that a lot of anime is garbage. And the reason why is because they pump that shit out fast, so that way they can make a good profit out of it. Some of the stories are good, most of them are not. But when you kind of like come to think about it, sometimes you like something that's just not that good. And I think it's easier to appreciate something if you can understand that, yeah, maybe it's not nearly as good as I was thinking it was, but it's still enjoyable. And that is something that I feel a lot of people don't understand, is that something can be bad, but enjoyable. Like, you know those horror movies that your mom would watch, you know, like, oh, come on, you gotta watch it at least once. And then you watch it and it's like, dude, this isn't scary, this is terrible. Yeah, that's the point. The whole point is that it's bad. And because it's bad, it's funny. And because it's funny, it's enjoyable. Or like, say, something can still be bad, but still be enjoyable. There's not really much. There's not really much where you can say that, well, enjoyment and quality are the exact same thing. They're completely different. Something could be an absolute masterpiece, like no flaws, made amazingly, like the characters are well written, but you don't enjoy it. You can admire that they put a lot of effort into it and they did a lot of unique and innovative things, but if you don't enjoy it, and it doesn't make it bad, make it good. If you don't enjoy it, you just don't enjoy it. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. And I feel like somebody who is truly into something can really, if they can kind of like separate their enjoyment with actually how much they understand about the series, then it's like you can do a lot of things and have a lot of really interesting conversations with people. Because the more you're all for a series to the point where you just like say, oh, well, I enjoy it so much, well, it can't be bad, then you can't really have a conversation about it, can you? But if you understand its flaws and you want to find out why somebody thinks it's bad, and you can be like, oh, yeah, I can understand that. Or say, like, you know, this is how I feel about it, without pissing somebody off. That's a skill a lot of people need to learn. I understand a lot of people on the internet, for example, are younger. I mean, I was like 11 years old when I first started going on the internet. I was young. And young people, you know, they don't understand those kinds of concepts. I'm not getting this damn clip. There we go. I can understand things like that. But respecting another person's opinion is a really good skill to have. You know, unless... I mean, there are times when sometimes the opinion's a bit sus. Oh, hey, Bray, what's up, dude? So, sometimes they kind of sus, you know? Sometimes you gotta put them out the airlock. You know, like, sometimes Cyan kind of sus, but... You know, you would never suspect somebody is terrible because they like Sonic 06. All in all, this isn't a bad run. Nowhere near my PB, but that's not really the point. Voted red out, yeah. Wait, what? Why is the camera weird? Oh, it's not weird, I'm just dumb. Okay, I was about to say, what the hell? Yeah. Also, I do want to say that I have zero interest in Among Us. But the memes are kind of funny. I was in electrical. You know, science kind of sus. He looked at me funny. You know, I saw him walking around, you know, looking like a piece of shit. He probably was thinking, oh man, what would it be like if I killed somebody right now? Literally 5 seconds earlier, killed White, lol. I gotta say, when I was watching Dragon Ball Super, it was just like, meh. Okay. But, I mean, at the same time, it's like watching the English dub, the English dub, they've gotten their craft down to the point where it's fun. I don't fully enjoy Sonic 1, you know. Okay. I'm just gonna outright say I did not like Mania that much. I saw it once, I was like, this is pretty nice. But then, like, it started being like, well, you know, most of the reason why people enjoy Mania is because of nostalgia, and since I'm not that big of a 2D guy, though I enjoy the games, I just kind of looked at Mania and I was like, it's a pretty good game. Not something that I would play religiously. Pretty good game. Then again, the Sonic series was plagued with a lot of like really like a lot of really I guess you could say, I don't know. Sonic series has just been kind of with how people feel about it. So, you know, the reason why I think people enjoyed Mania as much as it did was because of nostalgia and the fact that they wanted something new and they got what they wanted. They didn't want something that was just throwing them through a loop or something that was stale. I think that was the Mania's success. But because... Oh, okay. But because I'm not really part of that target audience... I'm not part of the target audience for Mania. I understand that. I like the 3D games more. So I look at Mania and I'm like, okay, it's okay. I gotta say though, those special stages are fucking boss. Special stages? I liked the special stages. They were cool. But not a big fan of Mania. But then again, it's like I also was not a fan of Generations, and a lot of people don't like that. I'm okay with that. Opinions are opinions. I just kind of like I don't like playing games. Like, I mean, it's also kind of weird because I'm not a big FPS guy, but I've loved Halo for the longest time. And yes, if you know anything about Master Chief Collection and all the things that 343 Industries have been doing, as a Halo fan, I was happy in 2017 when they were really trying to fix stuff, and then they stopped. I was really upset. And you know, I started getting into Destiny, and you know, I didn't like it that much because I saw Bungie was signing with Activision. Why would they ever do that? Upset. I was upset with that. And then it was like, you know, they left Activision. I'm like, excuse me? Destiny 2? Free? Left Activision? Fucking go. I was very happy. Oh yeah, I've played some horror games. I'm not... Okay, so this is going to sound completely counterintuitive, but I'm not good with horror games in the sense that horror games don't scare me most of the time. I will enjoy watching somebody play a horror game if it's a good horror game. But a lot of people don't get horror right. So, let's say, for example, Slender Man. I find Slender Man stupid. I think it's not entertaining at all. The big reason why is because jump scares usually don't get me. Slenderman is mostly about, you know, feeling the anxiety of getting, like, it's mostly about the shock, and I don't get the shock. It's boring to me. Now, you take a game like Outlast, which you know, after watching some of it, I realized that it's not really that scary when you watch through it again. But Outlast was still a fairly well-designed horror game in comparison to a lot of the other horror games. And actually, I was planning on this year. I wanted to do this last year, but I never did it. I actually want to do a race of Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion with some people. I would love to do that, and I want to do that for Halloween because I've been wanting to play through that game. And I know I literally just said I don't care about jump scares, but from what I've seen from Spooky's House of Jump Scares, I actually really like the way it's designed. Because with what they did with Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion, they made cute little fucking things be scary and make you, like, jump out of your seat. That is... I like that. That's creative. A lot of things I find with a lot of horror games is that they're not very creative. Like, it's all about, oh, gore, oh, jump scares, oh, creepy, like, music. I see that a lot with horror games, and I don't enjoy that. But this thing is just like, it just doesn't give a fuck. It just gives you a cute little ghost. And then it's like, oh shit. Did I really just get scared from a ghost? I think I watched some of Markiplier playthrough that. It might have been either Markiplier or Jacksepticeye way back in the day when I was actually into the Let's Players. Not so much into Let's Players anymore. I don't like Let's Plays as much. I'm a lot more into, you know, watching streams. I mean, I've been streaming since 2013, 2012. I like the live interaction, because a lot of Let's Plays can be more scripted. Even with face cam, they can be a bit more scripted. Yeah. I love that. I'm not going to sit here and say that, like, yeah, I like players who have genuine reactions. I don't like personas all that much. Which, I mean, you probably wouldn't be that surprised that I have been watching VTubers. But the thing is that a lot of the times I just look at the channels and I'm like, well, what do they play? Minecraft, Craftopia, Apex. I have no interest. Like, oh yeah, they might be a little cute. Maybe they have some funny reactions, but I'm not all about that. I don't really care. And then usually if the personas are really kind of like a little too much, it annoys me rather than entertains me. I like people who are very genuine. Unless the persona is really well done. But a lot of personas are not really well done, in my opinion. Just kind of seeing the actual person. Just be, you know, there. Or maybe maybe like a persona that's very loose or very closely based off the real person. That stuff is usually up my alley. Because, you know, after a while, since, I mean, oh yeah, Vine Sauce. Vinny's a very genuine person, from what I've noticed. I don't really watch his stuff that often, though. I don't like the games he plays, but I do enjoy him as a person. Dan's Gaming, for example, I guess is someone who kind of, like, puts on... Sometimes it's like a persona-like thing, but it's mostly just the way he acts rather than actually being a fake person. Dan has never come off as somebody who's been, you know, a fake kind of guy. He's always seemed very genuine. He's just a little more chaotic on stream versus, you know, if you've seen how he actually acts. Usually comes off as just a genuine person. But I mean, I already said this earlier that, like, I don't really see people in general, like, I don't really see people like YouTubers, or VTubers, or streamers, or speedrunners. I don't really like seeing people in, like, the light of, oh, well, they're like these people that are above me, they're these people that are below me. I kind of like try seeing them as real people. It's not exactly very easy to look at it that way. They had... Game Grumps had their moments. I really don't like Eagle Raptor, though. And probably for the same reasons that a lot of people don't like Eagle Raptor. JonTron, I mean, people give JonTron shit for that one comment, but... I mean... It doesn't change the fact that he's actually a really entertaining person. And I mean... Who cares? At the end of the day, it's like... I prefer the intent of the comment over the... Or taking the intent of the comment over the actual thing. Ser. I like I prefer to take the intent of the comment over the actual, like, content. My dad knows him. Like, I mean, you can have somebody that's literally making fun of you. You could have somebody that's making fun of you, but, like, they're doing it in such a way where nobody else can understand, so it's like, you know, in the context of, like, social acceptance, it's, like, perfectly fine. But they do it in such a way where if you react, you're the asshole. Because, like, they're gonna judge you by what you're saying and not by the context of what the other person is saying. I hate that. I think that's retarded. Like, oh no, he said a word. Oh no, he said that this person's a piece of shit. Oh no, he made a joke. It's, I mean, it is what it is, but at the same time, it's like, really? Hey man, it's like, oh, you can't say that, but a lot of other people have said it. A lot of other people have done a lot of other stuff. I mean, you can judge me all you want. That's fine. I mean, some of this stuff is childish. Life's kind of too short for that shit. Oh lol, just joking. Yeah, people are like that, but see, my retort to saying things like a retard. When was the last time you've heard somebody actually say retard to mean somebody who is mentally challenged? When was the last time you've ever heard somebody, like, literally, have you ever heard somebody in your lifetime say that to specifically mean somebody who is mentally challenged? Maybe in the context of trying to, you know, hurt somebody, but have you ever really heard it be used in that sense? I mean, I haven't. I've heard much worse. Holy shit, I've heard so much worse. Being referred to, like, referring to people who are mentally challenged, or people who are of a different race, or people who are, like, of a specific social class, or things like that. I've heard much worse. I just see it as, like, really? Do you ever see it happening? Ever see it happening? Never happened in your life, but you've seen it in media. See, that's the thing. Yeah, it happens in media, but media is not real life. Media is sort of like a reflection of things we think happen in real life. Media is entirely different. And I mean, that's not necessarily to say, like, oh, well, we should just allow it because of that. It's more so, I think about it in the context of, because the actual meaning of the word has changed, because people aren't using it to mean the same thing, why should we, like, abandon it when it's being changed? Like, as somebody who is interested in linguistics, because, you know, I mean, you can see in the title of the stream, English, Spanish, I'm technically bilingual now. I'm not fully fluent in Spanish, but I'm technically bilingual. The thing is that I look at it from a linguistics perspective. And if you look at the definition of retard, in particular, how people use it, yes, it's mean. Yes, it's kind of offensive, but it's not being used in the same context that people are, like, assuming it is. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people kind of think about the origins of the thing, or, oh, well, whatever. Those things don't matter in linguistics, I'm sorry. None of that matters. Horrific used to mean terrible. Used to mean terrifying. But yet we use it to mean something that's good. So, why? Why does it matter? That's the thing I always wonder. I mean, obviously you're not going to go to your boss and be like, oh, hey, retard. No. I'm sure most people have said worse to their friends. And a lot of people have issues with those things. It's all about social things, complicated. They're not simple. The more you simplify them, the worse things get. You think, oh, well, somebody said this word, he must be a piece of shit. Then trying to simplify those things just makes everything more complicated. It used to mean a lot more than just happy. Because remember, this is a word that has been around since, like, it's been around for centuries. Like, last century, it used to mean happy. It's gone through a lot of different linguistic meanings. And I mean a lot. Yeah. Like, sometimes the way words work is super fucking weird. The way that things... Video on Fortnite? Started. No pun intended. I don't like Fortnite. Because, I mean, first of all, why would I want to play a game with a community of nothing but 12-year-olds? Use it to describe something they don't like. And, I mean, like, that's with a lot of stuff. I hate Fortnite. Oh. I don't like Fortnite, and I mean, what's the problem with that? It's just popular. That's as much as you can think of. The reason why Game End Happy was because the previous word, the previous usage for it meant somebody who liked having a lot of sex. And from that it came from male prostitution. And from that it came with a guy who liked to have sex with a lot of women. And I think at one point it also referred to lesbian prostitutes. But I mean, we're talking centuries, like 1600s, 1500s. Words have a lot of history. A lot of history people tend to ignore. Because you can't look back that far back. You can't pay attention to it because it's not really there for you to just instantly grasp. It's also one of the reasons why, if you read stuff from, like, the past, it's a little bit more difficult to understand, because words have history. They have history, but... That's so gay at a movie. You think that it's idiotic? I mean, let me put it to you like this. If that's what people are using the word to mean, then, like, say if they're using it in a context to actually actually insult somebody who's gay, then you have a problem. But I mean, thing is that, like I said, words are kind of weird with how they function. We generally will think that a word is bad, but words are just words. I think the intent is really what matters, because eventually words are going to change what they mean. They will always do this. If we don't accept that, and I mean, yes, it can be offensive, but if we don't accept that the meanings of a word are changing, because they're always changing, then we kind of just get stuck in the past, because words always change. They always change. They just don't change that quickly. A good recent example of that is the word sick in American English. Word sick means cool, and it's one of the ones that stuck since like the 2000s. A lot of people are still using it to mean cool, despite the fact that, you know, a lot of the other ones like wicked and radical, a lot of other stuff kind of phased out. The meanings of words change. They always change. Doesn't matter what language you speak, unless it's a dead language like Latin. Words will always change. You can either accept it or you don't accept it, but it's not going to change that people are going to use it. And it... Groovy phased out pretty quickly, actually. Radical phased out within, like, 5 years. It was kind of funny. Words are weird. Always been weird. Always will be weird. They will always change, because words change as people change and people evolve. Yes, you can, actually. But not in the same way that you would think. So back when English was closer to German, say in, you know, Old English, Anglo-Saxon times, we didn't have a single word for the. We had multiple words for the, because the way that the word the functions grammatically in other Germanic languages is that it changes based on gender and plurality and certain other factors. So yes, the word the, you go back 1,000 years, yes, it meant something different. But not in the same way that you would expect. Grammatically, it still technically functions the same, but it had other words with it that meant something similar, just not exactly the same. If you know Spanish, or if you know any Germanic language, yeah, die, das, den, like all of this makes perfect sense. To people who aren't knowledgeable on these things would be like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? But then you also need to think about the fact that there's another word that is related to the, that a lot of people don't talk about, and it's and an. Because what these words are, Japanese has words depending on someone's gender, kind of, but not really. Japanese is a little different. It's not really based on gender. The reason why there's words based on gender is almost entirely based on social context, except, say, mother and father. Things that you cannot really change based on gender, like mother, father, kare, kare, kanojo, oni-chan, aniki, aneki, etc. But generally words are not used in terms of gender, they're used in terms of concept. So say, I mean, a man can say watashi, and it's fine. A man can say atashi, technically, though that's weird because it's considered feminine. Yeah, it's considered feminine. It's not considered like gender. A woman can say ore and boku. They're not gender oriented. It's based on like social. It's based on social context usually, which means that it's not strictly for that. It's just it's made that way specifically out of social context. Well, watashi is actually neutral. Boku is partially neutral, but it's more masculine, depending on the context. Like, a girl saying boku is seen as more masculine, and a guy saying boku is seen as a bit more feminine, just because most people that say boku are usually a bit more reserved. It's usually seen as a bit more polite and a bit more reserved, but not as polite as watashi. In that kind of a sense. Asian languages are they function very differently from our languages. They function very, very differently. This like plurality in Japanese is very odd because you can't just say, oh well, ni neko, like two cat. We could understand that based on context. They can't. They need to actually use a word attached to it. Like say, how many are there? I don't know, but it's since I'm not fluent in Japanese. I understand some of the concepts, but I don't really know how much there is. There is a ton of different like levels of formality, and there's tons of different levels of certain things. The way you talk that is seen as masculine and feminine, but it's never like a concrete thing, and it's not built into the language. It's built into their culture and their society, because it's just different. Like a lot of things are really weird when it comes to other languages, because generally a fair amount of the concepts that we have for one language do not transfer. They don't transfer over. Yeah, in Spanish, la, el, las, los, all of them usually are translated into the, but they can be translated into other articles. The easiest way to learn a language? Good question. Depends on the kind of person you are. You just a lot of people like the memorization step, and they kind of see, things like Duolingo, which, by the way, don't use Duolingo. It's not a good way to learn a language. It's mostly just memorization, and language learning is not based on memorization. You can't really learn Japanese particularly through anime. You can learn certain things, but I would stop at the grammar, because it's odd. It depends on the kind of person you are. I'm not a person who learns things through memorization. I learn things through like through meanings and context. usually, and actually, like, using it. If I hear it, I'm not necessarily going to memorize it. I need to actually know how to use it, the ins and outs of it, in order to actually memorize it. I would not say a book. A teacher? Yes. The best way is exposure, but, you need to know how to do that. Is talking with people? Yes, actually. That is actually the best way to learn, which I've been doing in Spanish. This is also why I have this, the English-Spanish thing. Speaking in the language is the way that you learn it. Because what did you do when you were a child trying to learn your own language? You would say, oh, well, this concept means this. I will speak to my parents this way. I'll try to communicate with my parents. And as your brain understands that, you know, this concept means this means this, you will start to have an easier time. But if you don't speak it at all, then, like, how the fuck are you supposed to, you know, actually do it? Like, say, you know, yo sé hablar español, pero no soy fluido, obviamente. Which I just said, yeah, I know how to speak Spanish. I'm not fluent, obviously. I can do that. I can say that stuff. Not so good at the listening comprehension, but pronunciation I'm pretty good at. What I did, since I really like sounds in general, I like to try to learn how the pronunciation works first. And then I go from there, usually. That's where I've usually gone, is, like, I learn how to do that. Spanish and Latin. Yeah. I actually learned Spanish in school, but I didn't really get up to any kind of a fluency level. In terms of Sefer, Eggy Hill is a perfect representation of someone who has studied Spanish through a book but never talked to anyone in Spanish. Then how the fuck are you supposed to be able to communicate with the language? Like, you can't learn everything through a book. You can't. Like, there is one thing that has bothered me for a while. Oh shit. About, like, hearing people learning Spanish, or learning English as a second language, and a lot of the people would be like, well, how do you say maybe versus might be versus could be? And then I'm just like, okay, so here's the thing. And here's the thing, is that, like, people don't say maybe. They say maybe, but they don't say maybe, it may be. People don't usually say that. People will say, could be. It can be. They don't usually say might be or stuff like that. They, like, teach it incorrectly. It's like, I mean, the thing is that yes, these constructions exist, and yes, they mean stuff, but the fact of the matter is that they're tough to explain, and, like, people would not understand the context because there's a lot of social context behind these words. Well, not social context, but there's complex context behind these words. And they don't mean a lot. If you get them incorrectly, people are confused. Well, I mean, so here's the thing, is that learning the language from a school is fine, but don't expect it to be the be-all and end-all. At the end of the day, you will learn how to use the language by actually speaking with people who speak the language in their language. That's the only way that you are ever going to be actually fluent in a language. And you might be wondering, well, I mean, all these speedrunners, you know, they're all foreign English speakers. They learn their English through school and through video games. Oh, why can't I do the same thing? And the thing is that you can, but a lot of those speedrunners, they interact with English speakers on a daily basis as they're, like, you know, in these communities. They eventually learn how to use the language better based off of that. They don't learn it based off of their books. Off of video games, yes, that can happen. That does happen. Because that English is a bit more... That English is a bit more natural. Not that much natural, but it is a bit more natural when you come down to it. The absolute best way to learn a language, or to become fluent in a language, not to learn it, is through communication. By speaking with the people who speak the language natively, or at a native level, or close to a native level, and you ask them questions. And I mean, a lot of the times you won't get people like, say, me, who's really into languages and, you know, at a level with their native language where they could possibly teach you certain things about the language. But, and a lot of them might say, oh, well, you know, people might say this instead. People might say this. Instead of what you're trying to say. And at the end of the day, you're always going to be bad at the language until you get good at it. Because, of course, that's just how it works. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to not understand the grammar. But you have to kind of go through it if you actually want to be fluent. It's, in my opinion, it's always a good idea to learn an extra language, because it teaches you a lot of things about culture, teaches you a lot of things about perspective, it teaches you how to get outside of your comfort zone a little bit, it broadens your horizons. And it really pisses me off that we Americans do not like that. We hate it. And you might say, well, not really, but a lot of the times we are very xenophobic. Not as much as it used to be, still very xenophobic. And I kind of just see it as, like, if I were to say, you know, have a Spanish friend that I'm walking down the street with, I'm speaking to them in Spanish, I don't want to be judged just because I'm speaking to him in Spanish. Like, why would I want that? That would piss me off. Especially because they would just sit there and be like, oh, well, you should go back to your own country. And then I would get pissed to say, okay, look, bitch, I'm a native English speaker. I'm learning this language because I like it. Yeah, I appreciate the sub. It's like, I don't like that. I don't like the idea. I like cultures and languages and things like that. I'm a bit of a nut. And I'm not going to say that I'm, like, amazing at learning a language. I'm not. It's taken me, like, 10 years to even get close to the level of fluency in Spanish that I am now. And, I mean, I've been trying to learn Japanese on and off for, like, 5-ish years. And while I may know some of the contexts, I can't speak it fluently at all. It's just that I enjoy it. Oh, yeah. It's not something you can, like, run into very often, somebody who likes languages. But if you are passionate about it, just do it. Back in 2014, I stopped learning Spanish because I couldn't get the listening comprehension, I couldn't get it down, and I gave up. Oh, yeah. You could learn Spanish. to communicate with the Spanish speakers here. Now, see, here's the nice thing. Here's the nice thing about that. If you were, you know, you see somebody who's like a native Spanish speaker walking down the street, you know, they have trouble speaking in English. They're kind of like, not necessarily that they're going to, that they're not trying their hardest, because they definitely are. If you speak to them in Spanish, you ever seen, okay, see ya, man. If you ever, like, you know, you maybe come up to them and be like, ¿puedes hablar en español? Sí, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué tal estás? You would see their face just light up. There's something amazing about it. Because I've seen it happen, because I've done it. And then they, like, try to speak to me in Spanish, and I'm like, oh no, I can't understand, but they're still happy if you try to speak their language. And you're not sounding like, you know, hola, como estás? Because you either they'll find it offensive or they'll find it hilarious. Depending on the person. But if you show that you're making a conceited effort to do that, it's a feeling that you probably wouldn't ever forget. Because basically you are literally making someone's day by saying one thing. One single thing. And it's something that you could just learn how to do naturally over time. It's interesting. It's interesting, and I like it. But then again, learning a language isn't for everybody. For me, yes, absolutely it's for me, because it's like it. And you might say, oh, well, is there any specific reason why you're learning Spanish, Japanese, and French? And there is a specific reason for me that I'm going to learn French. I want to be a translator for French in Quebec. I mean, partially so I can move out of the country, but also because I'd like to go somewhere where my expertise, my desired place, where I want to work, I'd like to be respected in the community. And then you might say, well, why did you learn Spanish or Japanese? It's like, why not? I just like it. Why do I have to have a reason for it? I have friends who speak this language natively, and I'd like to chat with them in their language. Maybe I'd like to consume some of the media, understand some of the jokes, try to get to know them. Well, that's fine. You should never let the ideals of your country or the difficulties prevent you from being what you want to be. Translation is just, or, well, learning another language, it's not easy, but because, like, the one thing that you need to know about being, thanks, Cleveland. One thing you need to kind of know is that you will always be learning, but that's all you need to do, is you need to learn. It will always you will never reach a peak as long as you keep doing it. You will just do it. It's hard, yes. I'm not gonna tell you it's easy. Not easy. It's easier. As you become more comfortable. But I mean, you just have to look. You have to work for it. But once you finally reach that point, it's like you're just gonna sit there being like, I understand. I understand now. It's like you hear words and it's like, yeah, I understand that. What the fuck? And then you kind of sit there being like, what? At the end of the day, languages are tied to human like, to the way we think. It's tied to our psychology, it's tied to everything, because it's just how we function as beings. So like, eventually, as long as you try hard enough and immerse yourself, eventually you will be able to understand the language. Eventually. Oh, wasn't paying attention. So, when you, and also it's like, say for instance, if you do know a little bit of Spanish, I wouldn't necessarily say that, oh, well, you should be able to understand me, because I have a pretty thick accent. I try to base my Spanish off of Spain, and people here in the US have a bit of a problem with understanding Spanish people because the accents are really thick. But say, you know, just find somebody you can easily understand and then just try to work off of them. Because it's not all just in the books. Books will only get you so far. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say, like, at my level of fluency, I'm ready to be a translator. Absolutely not. I still have, like, at least a year before I can even be close to being good enough at Spanish to be able to be a translator. I can say things and people can understand what I'm saying when I speak. But I would listen and I wouldn't be able to translate back. I don't have a large enough vocabulary to even have simple conversation yet. It's like, not something that you ever want to rush. And the only reason why it's taken me 10 years is, I mean, it's like I said, in 2014, I couldn't do it, and I gave up. I'm gonna reset. I couldn't do it, and I gave up back in 2014. And, during New Year's of last year, I was like, I literally just told myself, okay, I'm alone. I have nobody with me right now. I've been saying on and off for years, I'm gonna pick Spanish back up. I want to get fluent in Spanish. I just decided, okay, so my New Year's resolution, I'm gonna stop being a little bitch. I'm gonna watch an anime movie in Spanish. And I did. And I watched, what was it? No Game, No Life in Spanish as well. The dubs. Not the subtitles, the dubs. And I just decided from that point, like, it's time. I'm done. I need to stop it. I need to stop putting it off. I need to stop feeling like I'm defeated, and I just do it. And, I mean, here I am, 10 months later. I actually did co-commentary with a friend in Spanish 2 weeks ago. And while, I mean, it was like 5% me talking, I spent 10 months working my ass off to get my fluency up. I did use Babbel for a while, and I mean, Babbel's kind of good, but also kind of not good. It has its ups and downs. It's not good for getting you past what is considered an A2 level. Once you reach the intermediate level, which is like B1, B2, you really need to actually just talk to people. Because the A1, A2 region and the pre-A1, the pre-A1 region, that's where you get your language acquisition and you learn some of the bare bone basics. If you don't get any of that, it's like, well, you can't really speak to people. You can't even use the language at all. And Babel can help you with reaching the level of up to A2, almost a B1, as long as you use things to up your vocabulary. But once you reach the A2 level, it's like, it's not gonna work for you. Depending on how you, like, just learn in general. Like, for example, I'm actually terrible at memorization. I am horrible at it. It's one of the reasons why I don't do well in history class. But, I can kind of remember the grammar stuff. Grammar stuff makes sense to me. So, I kind of play off of my strengths. If your strength is memorization, then you will probably do better than me at, like, acquiring vocabulary. But acquiring grammar can be difficult. Acquiring, like, an understandable accent can be difficult, blah, blah, blah. I know, I'm kind of just ranting at this point. Sorry if that's been turning people off. Unfortunately, once I start going with, like, languages, I tend to not stop. Come on. The damn thing, there we go. I mean, I also kind of just enjoy talking. Well... I mean, if you want, Ray, feel free to you can practice your Spanish here if you want. I can speak more slowly, where you can understand me, or if there's, like, I guess I wouldn't say that I would be a good teacher because my Spanish isn't good enough yet. I wouldn't mind. Oh shit. Wouldn't mind helping a brother out. It's not a very common... Come on. Not a very common, hobby/career. Really, I'm no longer taking this seriously. I don't really find that to be much of a problem. I mean... Oh boy, dogs are gonna start barking. Sure, Doom. The dogs are gonna be barking for like 5 minutes. This is why I wouldn't stream later in the day. Because once my parents get home, they start barking for like 5 minutes straight until my mom gets in the house. Sorry if this annoys people. Doom, what are the, what's it called? What are the bounties? What are Banshee's bounties for today? Is it just, snipers and, is it sniper swords and kinetic again? And please don't tell me they added rockets. Please don't tell me they added rockets. I could check DIM, but I don't want to click off of the game right now. Well, I have my phone, I guess. I could check it. You didn't check. Attention span is very hard to come by these days. Come on. Fit through the hole. 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 Oh, you didn't even log in yet. Come on. There we go. I hate that. I'll do one more run after the dogs stop barking. DIM, I'll refresh. I'll probably do no mic Destiny. Okay, let's see here. Nothing from the Prismatic Recaster that I care about. Wait, what? Oh, okay, they have the thing, None of the mods I care about. Bow calibration, machine gun, sidearm, solar. Ah, damn. That sucks. Actually, I think I'm actually gonna stop for the day. It's a nice stream. It was fun catching up with people, I guess. Oh yeah, and Doom, I solved the thing with the original Xbox controller. All I needed to do was just calibrate the triggers. So now, like, as you can see, okay, wanted to say thanks for it. I just wanted to skip the, but I got you motivated to speedrun S80X. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, like, even though I'm kind of ending stream right now, if you have any questions, or anything you want me to show you real quick, I wouldn't mind. I had to do that within the game? No, I checked DIM. I'm looking at the, like, it's Destiny Item Manager. I'm using it on my web browser. But yeah, if there's anything you want me to show you right now, I would be fine with doing that. I'm always okay with that. If I'm streaming and you have a question or something, that goes for literally anybody. If I'm running a game or something, you can Just ask me a question if I don't know how to say it. Oh, I had to do that within the game for the answers. No, 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 no. No, I had to calibrate it with from Windows 10. What is ice skip? Like the ice cap thing? Like this? That? You have no questions? You're just starting out? Well, I appreciate it. Um, if I'm always in the Sonic Discord if you ever have any questions. Uh, because I mean, like, it's always nice to see new people running the game and everything. You should never be a stranger about that kind of stuff. Yeah, the thing about this particular clip is that it's kind of odd. So you kind of just want to wedge yourself. Just wedge yourself through, wedge yourself into the wall, and then you can kind of just flip through, like this. As long as you have speed going into the wall, it's not that bad. It's actually generally pretty easy. It's a little awkward at times, but it is pretty easy. Wedge yourself in there. And it works backwards too. I didn't know I could clip through that way. That's interesting. But yeah, I'm done with S80X for today. I'm gonna switch over to no mic. Doom will probably be communicating with each other through text rather than through voice because I'm already in a thing. Yeah, S80X just kind of lets you do that. Is that clip possible on DC? Yes. I think so. I'm gonna need to change the title on YouTube. I actually don't really know how to do that. Damn, my quality does look nice on YouTube. Holy shit. It looks way better than on fucking... It looks way better than on, Twitch. Thingy. No, of course my thing is not made for kids. Okay. So, I appreciate everybody that stopped by. Uh... The latency on YouTube isn't as good, but it doesn't buffer at all. I'll need to fix it. Because there was a setting that I could set. Destiny 2. Okay. Yeah. I see you, everybody. I am muting now.
Guardian. Very good.